Final verdict first. Yes, Bionic Bay is worth trying. But let's not stop there because what I expected and what I got were two different realities. When Bionic Bay launched in mid-April, I dove in thinking I was getting a sleek 2D Portal 2, a clever cyberpunk-flavored puzzle platformer that would ease me through a satisfying mental workout. What I found instead? A precision-heavy gauntlet build for speedrunners, where each pixel matters and every mistimed jump punishes you with instant regret. This wasn't the casual physics adventure I imagined. It's demanding, it's fast, and sometimes it's brutal. So let's dig in. How good is the physics engine? Can the movement system handle the pressure it puts on your reflexes? And most importantly, does Bionic Bay manage to keep you hooked until the final portal opens? Let's break it down. Let's clear one thing up right away. This is not Portal 2. There's no GLaDOS here. No witty AI roasting your every misstep. No masterpiecefully woven narrative filled with dark humor and unforgettable characters like Whitley. Instead, Bionic Bay opts for a minimalistic approach so stripped down it's practically silent. Here's the plot, an interpretative dance format. You're the scientist, your team drills into a giant mysterious rock. Shockingly, that turns out to be a catastrophic idea. Chaos erupts, lights out, everything collapses. You wake up alone, confused. A mysterious, vaguely phallic alien artifact giving you a zap. Congratulations, you are now made of jelly. Time to run. Yes, you can hunt down a few scattered nodes that try to hint at what's going on. And if you're the type who reads symbolism into every shadow and blinking light, maybe you'll find something deeper. But for the rest of us, it's science Wendbet meets squishy survival speedrun. So let's move on to what actually matters here. Physics, puzzles, and whatever Bionic Bay can stick the landing without sleeping on its own high-concept ambition. Let's split Bionic Bay into two halves, the first 4 hours and the last 5 hours, at least in my playthrough. Right from the start, it's hard not to be impressed. The cyberpunk visuals are striking. Glowing lights, sleek animations, layered backgrounds full of motion. There's a real sense of energy in the world with sleek effects like teleportation blurs and time freeze flashes that enhance the vibe, not just the mechanics. Pair that with a pulsing, atmospheric soundtrack and the game opens strong. I genuinely started this journey with a smile. But then, something shifts. After those initial hours, the visuals grow duller. The world turns increasingly gray. The animation in the background flattens. And unexplicably, the music vanishes in some levels entirely. No tension-building score, no ambient hum, just silence. Maybe the devs were going for a bleak isolation mood. Maybe they wanted to convey emotional weight through minimalism. But for me, it felt more like someone unplugged the soul of the game. The final stretch became a silent, colorless marathon, and I never quite recovered the excitement I had in the beginning. Even as the visuals fade and the color palette dulls, Bionic Bay never loses one crucial strength: its incredible use of physics. From the first minute to the last, the game's world feels real, not because it looks real, but because it behaves real. Everything around you reacts with a physical logic that your brain immediately recognizes. It's the kind of detail that quietly sells the illusion that both the character and the environment exists in the same space. Take this. When your jelly-like hero lands on a thin beam, it bends under their weight. There's tension, wobble, and inertia. They don't stop like a cartoon character. They slide, shift, and stabilize. Or watch how explosion sends debris flying. How a falling crate will actually crushes you, or how boiling water reacts like, well, boiling water. One standout moment? During a level where time is frozen, water droplets hanging in midair. And when you jump through them, they ripple and move, just as you'd expect. It's subtle, but it's constant. Even when the art becomes flat and the soundtrack disappears, the physics keep the world alive, and that matters a lot. And now we get to the gameplay. If we're expecting anything close to Portal 2 in terms of physics-based puzzle depth, dial those expectations way down. Bionic Bay takes a different route entirely in how it introduces, explains, and uses its mechanics. From the very first moments, you're handed your core ability, exchanged teleport. You swap places with certain objects. It's a simple idea, even a bit underwhelming at first, but when combined with tight jumps and momentum, it starts to shine, especially in the early stages. Soon after, you unlock a rolling move for squeezing through narrow gaps, followed by a leap ability that lets you cover long distances. These stack together into a toolkit that the game will ask you to master and keep using for the entire run. To its credit, the first half of the game does a solid job of gradually layering in new tools and challenges to keep things fresh. You'll learn to kick or push objects to clear paths, and eventually unlock time freezing, which lets you suspend falling debris or moving platforms, turning chaos into a climbing route. Combine those with real-world physics quirks, like explosion tossing objects or timing a teleport mid-freeze, and you get some genuinely fun problem-solving moments. Platforming definitely plays a role here, and for the first few hours, it's honestly a good time. You'll jelly running across floating debris, timing teleports midair, and balancing on unstable objects with a satisfying sense of inertia. That combination of mechanics feels tight, rewarding, and engaging, like a proper physics toy box. But then, somewhere around 5 hour, things start to wobble. Not because the puzzles gets deeper or more layered, but because the game swaps clever designs for raw input precisions. The difficulty doesn't come from complexity, but from brutal timing demands. A lot of challenges dissolve into trial and error marathons, where success hinges more on reflexes than strategy. Worse, the toolkit you've built early on, teleportation, rolling, long jump, time freeze, stops growing. For hours, the game just rearranges the same toys. Puzzles become mechanical, one-to-one paths, dozens of retires. Instead of using your abilities in tandem, you are just grinding past finally turned obstacle courses. A brief glimmer of hope appears in the final act when the game introduces control inversion, a mechanic that flips your movement directions. It's a cool idea, sabotaged by clumsy right-stick controls that make it feel more like solving a Rubik's Cube with one mitts. Confusion replaces challenges, and the whole thing feels wasted. And then the final chapter hits. It's a gauntlet. The movement demands become near surgical. The margin for error is almost not existent. You're not just trying to survive, you're trying to perfect every input. It's stressful, exhausting, and oddly fitting. The final stretch captures the emotional burnout of the journey, pushing you to your mechanical limits. And by the time the credits roll, let's just say, not everyone makes it out alive. Bionic Bay begins with smart, satisfying mechanics and impressively reactive physics. The first half feels inventive and fresh, but over time, creativity gives way to brutal precisions and puzzles become trial and error tests rather than the thoughtful challenges. New mechanics disappear, variety dries up, and the final stretch turns into a punishing high-stakes sprint, where your patience, timing, and party survivals are all pushed to the brink. A beautiful engine with half the mileage it deserves. And so, where does Bionic Bay land? It kicks off strong, no doubts. The physics feel great, the cyberpunk art style grabs your eye, and the world reacts to your every move in believable, satisfying ways. The first few hours, genuinely immersive. You're jelly-legged, teleport dashing, puzzle solving with style. But slowly it shifts. Visual flatten, music fades, and puzzles stop asking questions. They start demanding perfect execution. The once clever mechanics become a timing gauntlet, and your brain takes a backseat to your thumbs. Instead of deepening the experience, the game leans on a repetition and reflexes. By the time the final chapter hits, you are not solving puzzles, you are surviving them. Yet despite the fatigue, Bionic Bay has something that sticks. It's a playground built on rock-solid physics and with a little more variety, more ability synergy, and a smarter second half it could really shine. And here's the kicker. This game screams for a speedrun mode. Many levels are practically begging for it. Tight movements, teleports, tricks, and momentum abuse, all the ingredients are there. A dedicated mode would crank up the replay's value and reward the precision it's already asking for. And in the end, Bionic Bay is worth trying 100%. Just know, it starts like Portal in 2D and ends like a Dark Souls Slippery Platforms edition.